Hey, welcome back everyone again. And in our last video we were talking about list. Then I said something. I said in the next video we'll be speaking about list items. So I will dive straight into my text editor. I will discuss that. So list items. My browser is open. This is where we stopped in our last tutorial. You remember? I'm working on lists. This is the exact thing we did in the previous tutorial, right? So today now I want us to work on nested lists, because that is what we talked about. That was what we said we are going to be doing today. Texted list, right? So let's say I have ordered list. Then inside the ordered list, the same thing, I have my li, sorry. So let's say I have okay, item 1. You know, you can write anything in between this. I believe you know that. So we have L2, and let's have item 2. Okay, let me save this and refresh the page. So now we currently have L1 and L2. This is the ordered list. And don't forget we're talking about nested list. So now I'm going to next in an ordered list inside of our ordered list. What do I mean? This is what I mean. I have UL. Don't forget UL means on ordered list. Then for me to add any item to this on ordered list, I'll be making use of list item, right? So I have list item. Let me have nested 1. For instance, let me save and refresh. You can see we have nested 1, meaning that this ordered list has been nested inside of our ordered list. We can add another character. We can add another list item. Let's have nested 2. Let's see and refresh. We have nested 2. So inside this unordered list, we can also next in ordered list inside this unordered list. Please, I don't want you to get it confused. Let's say I want to next in ordered list inside of our unordered list. That is nested or nested next. Are we together? So I have li, then I have nested. Right, nested. Hope you are seeing the screen clearly. Let me save this and let me refresh. So now we have our nested list inside 1. So if you add another li auto to another li, maybe you said nested 2. Save, you refresh, we also have it. So you can next as many times as you want. So I just want you to get this understanding. Go straight, do your practice, and I will see you in just a moment. Right, good evening everybody. Some of you will be shocked, or you'll be surprised that I'm only saying good evening. It's because this is the time I am using in recording these videos. So today we're going to be talking about divs and spans. So what is a div and what it does? In this lecture we will show some examples of div and spans tag. I'm sure by now some of us might have heard of divs, but you are kind of wondering what is a div, what is a span. Don't worry much, just relax. We're going to understand it. However, we won't really be able to utilize them until we learn about CSS. Now divs and spans, they are useful when we are talking about, or when we are using CSS with HTML. But since we are only talking about HTML, I only wanted to just introduce it now so that you'll be aware of them. By the time we start to make use of them, or by the time I'm talking about these later on in the future, you won't be shocked, you'll be surprised of where this all came from. Are you getting it now? So keep that in mind as we learn about them. So straight now I'm going to dive into our text editor. Don't forget I'm using Visual Studio Code, and I have my browser here. If you remember, this is where we stopped in our last tutorial, in our last video. I'm working on the nested list that we did. So now I'm going to copy out this, because we don't currently need them. Okay, so let me save and refresh. Divs and span, that's what we're talking about today. Divs and span. I guess I'm too zoomed in here, so let me zoom out a little bit here so that we can accommodate more. Yes, hope you are still seeing the screen. You understand? So you are still seeing the screen. Alright, so now let's go straight. Let's say I have H2 here, header 2. I believe you know what a header is by now, and let me call it group 1. Let me call it group 1, and also I have a paragraph. Tag. It's not a must that you use space, so I have a paragraph, and I call it, and it says I also want to be in group 1. Right now we're talking about divs. Okay, first of all, let me save this, let me refresh, let's see what we have. We have group 1. I also want to be in group 1 now. Okay, now let's have another work called H2 again. Let's call it group 2. And we have another paragraph saying I also want to be in group 2. Right, let's save this. Let's come over here, let's refresh. We have group 1, I also want to be in group 1. Group 2, I also want to be in group 2. Right, now let's say now we're making use of CSS, and I want to apply a specific text to header 2 in my group 1. Maybe I want my group 1 H2 to carry the color red, and the group 2 element, and the group 2 H2 here to carry the color green. Right, but once I call H2, the color, let's say now I said H2, then I specify the color red, that red is going to be applied to every H2 in our file, in our current document that we're working on. But with the help of these, we are able to separate, we are able to apply a specific color, a specific style or font to a particular group or to a particular element. Now, what do I mean by that? For us to make use of this, we'll call the word div, then we'll copy this, we'll copy all this, then let's cut it, then paste it inside of the div element. Now this div carries an attribute called class. Don't worry much about this for now, but I just want you to be aware of div, so that by the time we start making use of them, or by the time we're talking about it later on in the future, it won't be strange to you. So we have div class. Let's give it a class name of group 1. Right now, which I was making use of CSS. Once I go over to CSS, then I call the class name group 1. I can apply that specific color to just this group 1 H2 header without that color affecting the other H2 here. I don't know if the explanation is clear enough. If I should save this now and refresh, nothing happens, because these divs currently in HTML, they mean nothing to our work here. But when we are making use of CSS, that is when we'll be talking about divs. That is all about div. Now let's talk about span. You know, we are talking about divs and span. Div simply means division, right? So div is used to group elements together in order to apply styles, color, font to them. Is that clear? Now let's make use of span. Let's say now I want to have the color orange. I think orange is my best color if I'm not mistaken. Alright, so let me add a span to this. Add a span. Then let me cut the of this. Let's say this is what I want. I want to have the color of orange, right? Then I copy it inside of the span. Let me save and refresh. Nothing happens, right? Because the divs and span means nothing currently now. But when we are making use of CSS, that is when I will start making use of them properly. Now the div is used to group multiple elements together, while the span is just used in between elements, just as you see. Hope it's clear. So thank you. I'll see you shortly. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome to the part 3 of our HTML course, level 1. In today's lecture, we're talking about lists. List gets all our information on our HTML page organized. If you want to organize your work, you want to make your work numbered or adding bullets to it, make use of lists. One way to do this is with a list. HTML has 2 types of lists. We have the ordered list and unordered list. So the ordered list, just as the name, it orders our work by adding numbers and so on, while the unordered list makes use of bullets. So without wasting much of our time, let's jump straight to our text editor. So don't forget, I am making use of Visual Studio. So I have created this. This was the last work we did in the previous class. So I have created a new file called list.html. So I believe now with your phone or with your system, you know how to create a new file. So create a new file called list.html inside the same folder that we have been working on, right? So this is my browser. The browser is currently empty because my text editor is empty. So now I'm going to add the skeleton of HTML. Okay, I think that'll be too much. Let me just do this HTML. We have the head. Inside the head we have the title. So I just want to write a list as a title. So then we have the body. Let me save this and refresh. You can see now we have lists as a title because our title is titled as list. Okay, so now let me add an h1 tag. I'm working on lists. Let me save this. Let me refresh. You can see on our browser I'm working on lists. So now I want to organize our work. Don't forget, earlier on I told us that we have two types of lists. We have the ordered list and the unordered list. So first of all, let's start with unordered list. Just as the name, unordered lists start with UL. The U here represents on, going to spell unordered list is spelled as this, right? Unordered list, right? This is the spelling, but this is not what we're making use of. We are just picking the first character here and the first character here. That is the first alphabet of each word. That is what we're making use of. That is the rule. So we have UL, which means unordered list, right? So inside this UL, that is the unordered list, we have what is called a list item. List item is going to spell list item, you spell it as list item, right? So we're making use of the L and the I all together. So we have LI, list item, right? List items. Now it is in between this list item that we write whatever we need to write. Okay, now let's say okay, list one. Let me save. You can see our work has been utilized. Let me zoom in a bit. Let me see if I can zoom in here. Okay, I'm zooming in to make the text more legible for you. Hope you can see the screen properly now. Alright, so we have list item list 1. You can see the bullet form. If I want to add another list item, I will add another LI. I'll say LI. So let's say list 2. I save and I refresh. In my site, okay, list 2. I wanted to explain something, but okay, maybe the next video I will do that. So we have list 3. Let me refresh. Let me save and refresh. List 3. So what am I trying to say? If you want to populate this list more, you add more list items. That is for the what? Unordered list. Now let us look at the ordered list. The ordered list. Your guess is as good as mine. The ordered list will be what? OL. Because why? Ordered list. So we have this. This is the opening tag and the closing tag. So in between this opening and the closing tag, we also have what? I'm waiting for you to answer. We also have list item. If you get it right, that means you're on the same track. So we also have list item. List item A and list item A, they are the same. The only difference between this and this is that this is what? Unordered list. This is unordered list, while this is ordered list. So let's now have list 1 as well. List 1. Let me save and refresh. What do we have? List 1 with a number. Are we together? So let's have another list item. Let me call it list 2. List 2. Refresh. We have 2 list 2. So let me add another list item and call it, okay, let's say another one, for instance. I save and refresh. 3, another one, because that is what we have written here, right? So by default, ordered list by default is counting from 1 to the last number, to the last list item. But we can change this, like if we want to make use of A, B, C and so on, or want to make use of Roman figures like I and stuff like that. But that will be in another video, because I don't want to get you confused by doing that now. So we can also have nested list here. Let me check the time of this video. Oops, okay, so I will explain the nested list in the next video. Okay, welcome back. Yes, in this lecture we're going to be talking about basic tagging of HTML syntax. So in this lecture we'll go over basic heading and paragraph tags. Whether you have done this before now, but I just want us to refresh again. So let me go over. Okay, this time around I have my text editor with my browser to avoid me going back and front, just like the way we did in the previous video about we're going back and front and stuff like that. So we're talking about basic tagging, basic heading. Don't forget to say this body, this is the opening tag, while this is the closing tag, right? So we have other syntax, other elements like the H1. H1 stands for header 1. You see, we also have the opening tag and the closing tag. Every opening tag must have a corresponding closing tag, and the difference between the opening tag and the closing tag is this /, as simple as that. So let's have header 1 here. Next I have H2, I have header 2, H3, header 3, H4. Don't forget I'm using system, so if you are shocked, how come his own screen is different? So I'm using system. Take note of that. H5, header 5. I want to explain something here. I did this yesterday, but it's as if it was very tiny, so I want to repeat this. We have header 6. So the headers we have from 1 to 6. Now let me save this and let me come over here to refresh. Discover we have all our headers. Don't forget still our new tutorial that we have as a title. You see what is shown here. So if you discover now, our header 1 to 6 is being displayed here. Header 1 to 6. So in other words, the smaller the header number, the bigger the size of the text. Header 6, going by the value, 6 is the highest from 1 to 6, but going by the size of the output, 6 is the smallest output, right? So that is that. Hope H1 is clear. From H1 to H6 is clear. They are called headers. In case if I said create a new tag and create header 2 tag, I'm talking about H2. So I just want you to understand those terminologies. So we also have a paragraph tag. Now let's say I am learning a new skill. Okay, let me break this down so that you see. Since I minimize the screen, so I am learning a new skill. I have this. Let me save. Come over here to refresh. I am learning a new skill. Or if I now, okay, I just come over. I broke down the line. Then I said this program is powered by Logitech Networks Limited. Now let's say I was thinking that, okay, because I broke the line just like this, I was expecting this I was expecting this text also to also break. when it's displaying the output, right? Let me save and let's refresh. I save, let's refresh. You can see everything they are all on the same line. The reason why this program here is because the screen is small now, so I'm learning a new skill. This program is powered by Logitech Networks Limited, but they were not on the same line here. How come they are on the same line here? So take note of this. Anything written in between tags, in between the same tag, in between the same element, will be displayed together. If I want to show this differently, maybe I want to break this, there are two methods of doing it. I either add the keyword break. This BR means break. Break means cut it, remove this one and put it in another line. So let me save this and refresh. You can see now this program is powered by Logitech Network. Or what I do this. I will close this. I will close this /P. That is, this one has its own paragraph. Then this other one too has its own paragraph. We already have the closing of the other paragraph here. Hope you are getting it right. So let me save it. I'm not doing anything strange, so I believe you are seeing the screen. So let me save this and refresh. You can see the same thing. So this program is powered by Logitech Networks in another paragraph. So as long as you want to make use of a new paragraph, you need to wrap those values. You need to wrap the statement. You need to wrap the code in between paragraphs. Hope it's clear. Alright, so okay, let's do something else before now. Whenever we want to bold, let's say I want to make this Logitech very bold. Before now, in HTML, the old HTML, we normally use B. This is the old method of what? Of making our text, our character very bold. In your computer and your system, B stands for bold, right? So it's the same thing here. If I refresh now, you can see that Logitech has been bolded. But this is the old method. This is the old system. What we have now, we don't need to actually make use of a B. The new standard now, you just add the word strong. That is the standard. We move with the flow. You understand? So you cannot be outdated still using the old pattern. So we'll make use of strong. If I should refresh, it's the same thing as strong. All together. So also italic. Let's say I want to initialize this powered. The old method we're using I. We're using I to add some italic. But now we don't really need I again. Let me refresh. Hope someone is not getting it confused. We have the opening of the italic and the closing, right? So let me refresh this. Let me save and refresh. If you can notice now, powered is being italicized. But this is the old method. The new method now, we don't need to make use of I. Make use of EM, which stands for emphasis. So once I update, it's still the same thing as what? Powered. That is, it has italicized the character in between it. Why this strong? Anything in between strong will be bolded, and anything in between emphasis will be italicized. Hope it's clear. So I will end it here. So in our next tutorial, we'll talk about look at more advanced stuff. So